Welcome back to part 2 of episode 15 of I Think You Think. You can find part 1 most likely wherever you found this one, or if you're having trouble, you can find a link to the whole playlist in the underbar. And so without further ado, we're going to move on to topic number 2, which, go ahead, James.
Very closely related to topic number 1. So, in talking about patents, these wonderful patent trolls have decided that they would love nothing better than to sue the podcasters because they own a patent that was patented in 2012, even though podcasting has been around since 2001. And they own the patent for, and I quote, an apparatus for disseminating a series of episodes represented by media files via the internet. As said episodes become available, said apparatus comprising one or more data storage servers, blah, 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 blah. There's a bunch more. I'm not going to read this whole thing. But somehow that, and that being a patent that was patented in last year, 2012, is what they're calling the podcast patent. And they're trying to sue. They came out and they went after 2 of the big boys, the Adam Carolla podcast and the How Stuff Works podcast. And I think there's a couple others that they did at the same time. Just some big ones. Because you go after the big boys first, and then if you win, then you can collect your nickels and dimes from all the little podcasters.
Don't come after us, though, because we don't have anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's like, it's just ridiculous, though, because they didn't even do this. They bought it. They bought this patent, and they're claiming, and something about the way patents work, they can link to previous patents, and there's some original patent.
From 1996 or something, right?
Yeah, that has something to do, it was communications, like, we're talking like Windows 95. It is what the patent, that's the kind of stuff that was going on then, Windows 95. And that's what the original patent was for. But somehow they're trying to use that correlation, the fact that it's, stacked on top of the 96 patent, even though it came out in 2012, now somehow they own the rights to podcasting, which again has been called that and going on in a significant way since 2001. And now they're trying to sue us all, kind of. And I guess a lot of, from some stuff I was reading today, there's been many different podcasters that are getting letters in the mail. I don't know if they're cease and desist or they're, here's your bill or whatever it is. But it's definitely, let's see. I don't know what they're not really saying what the letters say.
Either way, they're sending out these letters and saying, regardless of what they're saying, they are trying to go after a media of podcasting, something that we do and many other people do. And they're trying to link it to, they're trying to say, well, we own this original thing from 1996. Podcasting started in 2001. We own the rights to it, blah, 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 blah. And so there you go. I guess I don't quite understand how you can own a patent for a way of producing like an online radio show. I mean, somebody can own a patent for the microphone. Someone can own a patent for the wiring, and you can own a patent for the computer. But no one says, for example, I own a patent for recording television shows and giving and sending them out over the airwaves. Therefore, all television stations owe me X amount of money because of my patent.
Right. Well, I mean, I mean, without any of this previous conversation we've had, if I went up to people, even if they were people that listen to podcast or maybe did some casual podcasting, and they'd never heard about this case at all, and I said, okay, I have a patent for an apparatus for disseminating a series of episodes represented by media files via the internet as said episodes become available. What's that? How many people would be like, oh, that's totally podcasting? I mean, if I said, well, they mean podcasting, you'd be like, well, okay, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's not like it just says podcasting, and it just seems like one of those 90% and not the 10%. It doesn't sound like a case that they would win in the long term. But the fact that they're putting it out there, I guarantee it's making some people stop podcasting, at least in the meantime, which for us is a hobby. We do it. I mean, I think we're on the same page with this. We do this because we have fun doing it. We're not doing this hoping that, in 2 years, the money's going to roll right in and we're retiring, It's,
I wouldn't say no to that happening. Like, I wouldn't say, no, keep your money.
Yeah, but it's not the expectation.
No.
I mean, that would be awesome because we enjoy doing it. And we're doing it because we enjoy doing it. And now if some patent troll wants us to pay, even if it was $10 an episode, which isn't a lot of money, I would completely stop dead because I would not let them get that money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't. Like, there's no way I would allow them to make money off me entertaining.
Yeah.
Or, self-entertaining, I guess, in a way. The advice, though, as I'm looking at this, that this article says for podcasters that do get the, patent infringement letter, is ignore the letters and hope for the best. Contact and agree to pay a license fee for the patent, even though the podcasters don't use the technology covered by the patent, or fight in court, which is difficult as individuals. But this basically, there's a group that's kind of getting together and attempting, let's see, I guess there's a lot of legal activists. They mentioned the Electronic Frontier Foundation.
Okay.
That I guess have been trying to change the patent system. And I mean, with Mark Cuban backing it, they're probably, I don't know if he's working with them specifically, but just in general, I'm sure they're going to get a lot more of a foothold on that in general, and at least get it to the point where it's, either going to get momentum or they'll discover that it's not going to happen. But I think, I don't know. I mean, for me, we haven't gotten a letter.
Yes.
So we are, I mean, I don't think we're high enough. We got to be in the bottom 1%. You know what I mean? At this stage, we're pretty new. We're not really inserting ourselves into the normal podcasting community as of yet. So I think we're a little outside the realm of this. But still, I think it's ridiculous. I would say, and I don't know this for sure, but I would say the majority of podcasts are not profitable in any significant way.
Right.
It's probably a very, very small percentage, the ones they went after, the Adam Carolla Show, the Stuff podcast, that actually have enough listeners that their advertising is profitable enough. That is something that people are actually, there's people that are making money on it, and maybe some of those websites that host podcasting and things like that, those as companies, even though they're not specifically making their money by podcasting themselves, are making money fully and directly from podcasting. I would say most, it's more of a hobby. Maybe they make a little bit of money. And it's just a weird thing to try to step on,
Yeah. Podcasting for the most part, I would probably say 95% of podcasts out there, they're done by people who are just interested in something. They're passionate about something. They want to talk about it. One of the very first podcasts that I remember listening to was these three people that used to get together and talk about Harry Potter. And they talked about the books. They talked about as the books were coming out, the next books, and they became very popular, but with Harry Potter fans, and they became like the preeminent podcast about Harry Potter. But, most people don't start. I mean, you and I didn't start doing this as a like, oh man, I can't wait until we become famous. It was more like, hey, I want to talk about things, and there might be people out there who are interested in hearing what we have to say, and also putting in their 2 cents. And so let's do it, and we do it. We have like 30 likes on Facebook.
What?
Yeah.
We rock.
We did finally get over the 30. We're at 31, I think now. So we are famous now. We are up over the 30 mark, and we don't get a lot of views. But honestly, it doesn't really matter. It's because I have fun doing it. You have fun doing it, and it gives us something to do, something to research, something to talk about. I wouldn't be disappointed if we became famous, if people were interested, more people were interested in what we had to say. But I don't do it for that. And obviously we don't make any money off of it. So we don't do it for the money.
Right.
And I would think that's the way it is with most podcasts. I mean, most podcasts and podcasters don't go out to do it to make money or to become famous. They do it because they're interested or passionate about something, and it goes somewhere because other people become interested or passionate about it.
Right. And I think it's just like I'm not going to read it again, but just the wording of the patent just blows me away that someone's like, hey, maybe we can sue the podcasters with this one. I mean, that's had to be kind of the way it is. They go through their patents, the wording, and then they try to figure out who they can sue. And it must have been late. It must have been late when they came up with that one, because I just don't think, it seems like either they're aiming at something so broad with that there's no way they would really be able to hold that up. Because, couldn't that cover, couldn't they sue Hulu?
Right.
Couldn't they sue Netflix?
Couldn't they sue any YouTuber?
Yeah.
I mean, isn't a series of videos on YouTube? I mean, any of the big name YouTube videos that are out there, couldn't they sue any one of those? Isn't that basically the same thing?
Yeah, people who vlog or whatever it is, video blogging.
Yeah.
Even I listened to an artist, Mike Doty, and he released a whole bunch of sort of B-sides and stuff like that, and he was releasing one a week, over 32 weeks. So I think he better watch his back, because I think this patent can cover that.
And I guess what's the difference between I like to call a bunch of people on Skype and I like to record it, and then I like to post it up there so that all my friends can laugh about it. And it is not podcasting in any regard. It's just I call companies on Skype and argue with their customer service. And I don't post it on a weekly basis. I just post it when I do it. Or every time I have to call my credit card company, I like to record it and then, play it back for all my friends through this website because we think it's funny.
Right. It's ridiculous when you get right down to it. And I think, referencing back to the first half of this podcast, in the 20 years, I think that's where the problem is, because what they're trying to sue about is just like the way technology works today, the way these things are. It's out there. Podcasting's out there. All they're going to do if they win this case is end something that's good and make a little bit of money doing it.
Yeah.
There's nothing positive there at all. They think it's positive because they're going to make the money. but screw progress. And, I mean, it's probably one of the healthier um, internet forms of expression that's out there right now, I'd say, because you get everything from like legitimate, like ESPN sports podcasts and things like that, that are news based, to, people that are out there podcasting, comedic sketch kind of stuff, to stuff like us is just two friends talking about political subjects, people that are going to talk about religion, whatever it is, anything and everything, it's out there for people to just, you know, lay out their opinions in whatever way they want and be expressive, in a format. And I mean, if these patent trolls can end something like that, I think that's when you really gotta. That's what brought it to my attention, and I think it would be one of the biggest losses. Apple paid them $8 million, which it's sad that they were able to get $8 million, but Apple can afford it. Not that I'm saying Apple's got, can just hand out $8 million every other day. They probably could for a while before they really noticed what was going on. But when a huge company like that gives up what is basically a small amount of money, for what they do in a year, or over a decade, it's just different than taking away something good just from the general populace, on something they didn't even do. It's not even their patent. They bought it. They bought it. They bought it so they could sue us, not us specifically, us as a general community. I don't know. This whole kind of attitude has always bothered me. People that want something for nothing, basically. Like the anger that it triggers in me is exactly like, when I was talking to a friend of mine recently. She got her cell phone stolen on the subway. Someone who came up asked for money, cigarette. There were two of them, a couple, and while she was distracted, they slipped a hand into her purse and stole her iPhone. It triggers the same kind of anger in me. It feels like the same thing. It's just thievery.
Yeah.
You know, they paid for the patent, but they didn't buy the patents because they love to own patents. They presumably buy the patents in an attempt to find people to sue for something they never made, that it wasn't being enforced. I mean, if the patent was around since 96, let's even say that 96 is the one that's official, then that means that for, what is that, 16, 18 years, 16 years, 17 years, it wasn't being enforced. And now you're going to try to sue somebody?
Right, right. And that's the whole thing. That's what it comes down to. Let's even just say that the 1996 is valid, that the entire argument is valid, and that podcasting should be covered under this patent. The person who originally owned that patent didn't do anything about it. Uh, Presumably, the reason they didn't do anything about it is because they wouldn't, because it doesn't make any sense. But even if they did, nothing had been being done about it. These people picked up the patent in order to cash in on it. It's almost like if somebody if you're walking along a street and you notice this, somebody had gone and spray painted the side of a house, but they did this amazing job and it looks beautiful, and people are flocking to see it, but nobody realizes that the house is for sale. And so you go over and buy the house and then say, no, this is my art, I own it now.
Right.
It's a really terrible metaphor,
Well,
actually. But
it made me think of a different one. It's more like if, there's a plot of land, and this would never happen in the modern world. There's a plot of land, and it's right next to your house, and you own it, and someone starts to build a house there, and you don't say anything, and they spend day after day, they build their house, they get their house all done, they move in, they have a kid, they're all settled in, and then you go, you built that house on my land, and now you not only do you have to pay me rent to have your house on my land, but you owe me 3 years worth of back rent.
Right.
It wouldn't make any sense. At that point, you've kind of given up your ownership. And I mean, I think you're right in saying that the fact that they didn't try to defend this when the original company owned it was probably because they never considered it to have anything to do with podcasting.
Right. There was something that I was about to say, and now I can't remember what it was.
Well, I had mentioned the building the house and the rent and...
Oh, yeah, it's gone.
Doesn't matter. You'll remember it in like 17 years, and then I'll sue you. I've already patented your comment.
All right, hang on one second, and then we're gonna wrap up.
Okay,
this is driving me crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh well, you guys, we're having Skype issues. Remind me next time we do this to restart my computer before we start. My computer's been on for a couple of days because, when I go to work, I just shut it and leave. And so I think that's why we've been having problems. There's probably programs that I didn't know I left open or probably running in the background. So that's why if this seems really like choppy at some points, computer issues, we're not.
Yeah, we've been stopping and starting a lot.
Yeah. We're not professionals. We're terrible at this. Well, not terrible, but I'm terrible at this.
We're still learning and growing. So
yeah, we're only 15 episodes in. Okay, give us a break. All right.
Yeah, we haven't even podcasted for an entire day straight yet.
Yeah. Jerks, making fun of us. Anyway, we're just gonna go ahead and wrap up. There's more information out there on this. You guys can keep up to date on it. I did want to. I'll throw the. We'll throw the website for supporting the Shield Act, which is the thing that kind of is going to help kind of curb some of the patent trolls. But the website for that, http://eff.org/shield. But we'll have that on our Tumblr, among other things. Also, I will give you guys... I actually haven't even told James this, so this will be a surprise for him. Yeah, I know, right? I just got an email regarding the blog that we are going to be partnering with on Chicago blogs. Chicago Now blogs that's run through the Chicago Tribune. That we'll have our own little blog spot where we will update you guys, and we'll also link that. And then there will be a Twitter account that will also be linked up with that. So we will be on Twitter finally, and then we will have our own little blog for James and I to post things and our videos. So that's finally come to fruition.
Excellent. I love that word.
Yes, it is a great word. So yeah, so that's it. That's it. I have nothing else to wrap up with. James, please wrap up as much as you can.
Podcasting is awesome. Patent trolls are not. I think that is the lesson for the day. We are going to continue to get our feet up under us as the weeks continue on, and I will try to be fully awake previous to recording the podcast, and we're going to keep Justin in country as much as we can. Beyond that, thanks again, everyone, for listening. Make sure you like, comment, send us emails, message us, whatever you want to do. Any feedback is appreciated. And otherwise, everyone... Hello?
Hello.
Man, it's a rough one tonight, man.
Oh, jeez. Any feedback is appreciated, and you guys have a good evening, good day, whenever you're listening to it. Thanks again, guys. We will see you next week. for our special Easter podcast. That's it. Goodbye.